Welcome everyone to yet another LinkedIn Live. Mark Stabina here from Winning EQ. So glad you can join us, and I'm sure a lot of you are just going to be popping in and popping out. You are working, actually, some of you. So we're just going to get right to it and bring some value, some juicy conversation, and some education and entertainment, edutainment. And my guest is the best for that. I can't wait to introduce Monica and have her in here. Monica D. Livingston is who we're chatting with today, and she's an educator, a business owner, former professional athlete. She was in the DC Divas team and Hall of Fame inductee in the WFA. Speaker, award-winning comedian. Yes, you heard that right, comedian. Podcast host, corporate coach, etc., etc., etc. She's a bit of a freak of nature. I'm so glad she's here. I'm really excited. I don't know Monica very well, but I do know of her, and you'll see why. And I'm so excited that she agreed to talk with me today on some standout leadership topics. It's going to be an entertaining ride, folks, so strap yourself in as I welcome in Monica Livingston, everyone.
What's going on, Mark?
Didn't I tell you, folks? Didn't I tell you?
Listen, I have to take you on the road with me. You got me all pumped up and hype. I feel like
It's easy to hype you up, Monica. It's easy, but yeah, I'm feeling the energy. I love it. That's why I was so excited to have you today. And look, I can go in so many different tangents and so many directions with your diverse range of expertise in so many fields. But I guess essentially we're here to chew the fat in the realm of organizational culture.
Right.
And especially given that we are both instructors on the corporate learning platform Electives. I had Jason Lavender, the co-founder, last week, electives.io, folks. Yep. That's where I heard of Monica. Everyone, all the team at Electives kept talking about Monica Livingston. She's crushing. Everyone's asking for her. I'm like, all right, I need some of that. I need to learn from this person. And here you are. So let's start there. How did you get involved with Electives?
And yeah, why? You said Electives is, a learning platform. It is the learning platform, right? That we both get to meet great people with. Mark, it happened organically for me, working with Electives. And I would say that that's my entire business journey. I've been very fortunate that I've just kind of stayed the same person. And I network with good people. I try to surround myself with good people. And when you do that, I think good things happen. And literally, I was just somewhere else speaking, and someone saw me that knows Jason Lavender, the founder, very well, and therefore hooked me up. That's how it happened.
Similar story to me. You have a number of different workshops. This is kind of what's led me to the topic that I've promoted today, but we can talk about a lot of things around organizational health. What would be the workshop that is probably most popular in your library?
You're cutting out goal set.
You said I was cutting out. I'm feeling you're cutting out on my end as well. All I caught was that I'm cutting out for you. Is that right? Well, folks, technical issues. It wouldn't be fun and it wouldn't be growth if we didn't have these technical issues. And I'm sure Monica will be right back in. We had some technical issues as we were chatting earlier on. So I'll just kind of vamp until we see Monica come back in the waiting room. I'll let her back in. We're going to talk about those workshops that she delivers, which is how I came to this topic today of belonging, creating true belonging in the workplace. And I mean true belonging. I added that word because I think belonging, a lot of companies feel like they've created belonging or that they are creating belonging. And so many companies they're not getting it right. And Monica, one of Monica's most popular workshops is about that topic, is about how to create allyship and belonging. We've heard about DEI. It's this new phrase that's come definitely to the fore out of the pandemic, and a lot of companies are scrambling to have more training in this area, right? Diversity, equity, inclusion. Belonging is another word that's added to that. And there's so many different ways to create that in the workplace. I could talk about that, but I'm going to let the expert talk about it. So, Monica, I just vamped for a couple of minutes for you. So, just how great you are in your workshop. Welcome back.
Thanks. Thanks.
And what I was saying is that you have a number of workshops, and what would you say your most popular workshop is?
You know, it varies, but I will say that the most popular one seems to be the things that I do on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and belonging, and which is wild to me because, you know, I always joke, Mark, and say I want to put myself out of business in terms of that piece, where we don't have to have that conversation because, you know, I think it's important, but I wish that it wasn't important. So I think those are my most popular ones. But it's going well. I really try to push people just to think differently and to just increase their level of empathy, look at, you know, why they're doing certain things based on their lived experiences and value that. But then how can we open it up and go further and look at people differently? So that's the most popular ones.
Yeah. It's a very popular topic, isn't it? It's demand. And I think because coming out of the pandemic, these new terms, DEI, as you mentioned, and now the B is added to a belonging as well. And companies are scrambling and falling over themselves to figure out what it means, how to improve it in their workplace. How can we get instructors like yourself to come on in and teach our people more about it so that we make sure that we're doing it right?
Right.
Where would you say companies are not doing it right?
Being scared to have the conversation, like being afraid. And I get it. It's you know, and I talk about this in one of the very first, in the beginning of one of my classes, that I understand that we are all hardwired to stay in our comfort zones, right? We have comfort food. You've probably got a comfort sweatshirt. I know I got a comfortable pair of PJs, like my go-to PJs, especially as, you know, the weather starts to get a little crisp. But what we have to realize is that comfort makes us disconnected from people in our workplace, from people in our community. It can absolutely make us have this disconnect. And companies that want to thrive, truly be better, truly get whatever that company group goal is that they want to achieve it, they have to push past that, get out of that comfort zone, stand in a little discomfort, and know that the end of the discomfort is what they actually want to achieve. So I think the pushback that I see is sometimes people not wanting to have the conversation at all. And we do a really good job of people, and you know this, the people that we team up with at Electives, they push past that all the time to get people like myself and you in the room. But I think even then when we're in the room, I have sometimes where people are like, well, we want to touch on this, but well, we this is just the beginning, so don't go. I'm like, be easy. Calm down. I got you. Everyone's going to laugh, smile, joke, and we're going to get better. And so I think that that's where they go wrong, is just not being able to grab that fear and say, okay, here you are. Let me put you on this shelf right here. I'll be back for you. I get why you exist. But to move up to that next level, I got to ignore you. So they could do a little more of that, I think.
It's ironic, isn't it, Monica, that the fear of and just wanting to touch on it and not go deep into it, it comes from a lack of understanding.
Yeah.
How can we have understanding if we're not talking about it and not opening up and being really open and willing to go there and have people like yourself come in and get to work, right? It takes work and vulnerability and opening up. And just so glad that you are there for companies to help them understand. So once they push past that discomfort and actually have the conversation, because it is the first step. I often say that with topics like leading with empathy when I teach that class. and a lot of those come around avoiding burnout. They tend to come around certain times of year, isn't it? It's Mental Health Awareness Month. So it's like companies like, we need some mental health stuff for our people. So I get a flood of requests when those times happen, and it shouldn't just be those times. It should be constant. But I often say that when they are looking for ways and best practices to improve and elevate understanding, empathy, how to avoid burnout, creating that safe space, which I'm going to ask you about in a second. Just having the conversation is the first step. Yeah. Having the conversation, bringing people like us in to educate, shows the workers, shows the employees, hey, we care and we want you to know more about this.
Exactly. And we've literally had people say that. I've been in the rooms where at the end of it, the feedback is, wow, I didn't know that my company even thought this was an important topic. Wow, I'm glad that I now see someone that I just got an email from yesterday. I was feeling a certain type of way about them, and I feel completely differently about them because of what they shared in a breakout session, or what they shared in the chat, or what we shared in open discussion. Mm-hmm. So I will really say that there's never been, and I've done over 100 with electives, I've done thousands in the space totally, and there's never been a reaction that I didn't enjoy or welcome. Now, Mark, that doesn't mean all of them were great, but the ones that were bad, they still felt good, because I was like, yep, you're who I was talking to. You're the one that needed to be in the room. I'm glad that your feathers are a little ruffled, because you need that. So it's always been very positive in terms of the feedback that I get. It tells me I'm doing the work that needs to be done. Mm-hmm. And it's been powerful for the people in the room, and they share that. That's not me, that's them, and how they share, that information with each other and keeping the conversation going. So it's just been a joy to be able to facilitate it. And I always use that word. I'm here to facilitate a conversation, because at the end of it, I'm leaving, maybe never to see you all again. You all have to stay here and work with each other. How can we do this better with other, lens?
So true. So true. Now, I might ask you to give us a mini workshop right now, if I may. So once you've got through the door and they're willing to have the conversation, you get past that first part of discomfort, you're in the conversation. Can you enlighten us on maybe 3 to 5 best practices for an organization to create belonging and allyship in the workplace?
Yeah, focus on your people, right? So first off, DEI comes whenever we say it, it comes with this thing, right? People are like, we're getting ready to do a DEI workshop. And certain types of people, depending upon how they identify, start feeling bad. They start feeling like, well, I hope this isn't going to be somebody telling me I'm a terrible person because I look this way and move throughout the earth this way. And other people get upset and they go, gosh, I hope I'm not going to be outed, or people only calling on me. It has this connotation with this heaviness to it. So the first thing that I always tell people is try to eliminate that. And the way to eliminate that is, we don't even have to really call it these terms, right? Because now we've got legislation and it's a bunch of stuff trying to stop this type of training. And really, I don't understand it, because all we're really doing is telling people what they should have learned in kindergarten, how to treat people right and share your freaking toys. That's it. The toys are different, but that's it, right? Everybody gets a turn at being the line leader, and somebody may excel at it, but so I think focus on your people is one of the first steps. Focus on what they truly need in their opportunities. The other thing is to focus on the outcomes that diversity drives. So let's stop talking about, so much like diversity, but why are we doing it? What does it do? Well, if we have a more diverse company, organization, we are more productive and creative, period. That is a fact, right? That's an absolute fact. So if you truly are invested in your company and you want your company to win, why aren't you doing everything possible, right? And you and I know this. Let's take it from a team perspective, and sports fans can follow along here. You're going to have some superstars on your team, but it's still called a team. Somebody's got to block. Somebody's got to hold the ball. Somebody's got to pass the ball. Somebody's got to set a pick. I mean, I can go through all the sports. And if you don't realize the importance of every single person on your team, you're going to get a couple of wins, but you will never, ever be able to sustain it, a true championship. And if you want to be a championship organization and team, then you better figure out how to utilize everybody and put people in an environment where they feel safe, where they feel secure. This belonging thing is really just about connection. I see Grant put something in the chat. Is belonging synonymous with connection? It really is. That's to me, they go together, right? They're like partners. They're married. Belonging, connection. It's all about acceptance, and we all are hardwired to be seen, valued, heard. It's that feeling that signals to us, yes, I'm important. Yes, I matter. So I think that organizations need to push through and say, we're still going to have this conversation. The reason we're going to have this conversation is because we're focusing on our people. We're signaling, like you said, to our people, this is important. Thirdly, we're going to focus on the outcomes. We're going to remind people why we're doing this is because this is what we get at the end of the day when all of our people, shine. We're going to highlight the team approach, and we're going to focus on a caring culture. If you do these things, Mark, here's the thing. People work harder, longer, stronger, faster with you and for you when they're in this environment. It just makes good common sense to me. I don't even understand what the whole hoopla is about, to be honest with you. I'm going to treat you right so you do good. Duh. I mean, what else do you need?
Totally. Thank you, Monica. So valuable. I can't wait to just rock up to one of your workshops. I'm not even going to tell you. But Grant, thank you for that. And you also have another comment I'd like to, let's throw Grant's other comment. Good to see you, Grant Cole. Good to see you, friend. Does understanding and empathy alone overcome fear? I guess maybe that was in reference to my earlier comment. Like, it's a lack of understanding, I guess, and empathy that creates the fear of having that conversation. And what if it goes this way? What if it goes that way? The way I would answer this is not alone will help it overcome the fear. But what I would say is, just like any fear that we have, we need to make our objective bigger than the fear. We need to make what can come from having empathy and understanding and belonging in the workplace. Monica, you touched on it. Results.
Yeah.
It brings results. It's a fact, like you said. So I think if there's some fear about a kind of like a lack of understanding, but I think it's understanding that it is important and it is crucial for your results, you'll push through the fear, just like anything we do, right?
Yep.
So great. Thank you for your participation, Grant. I urge anybody that's sort of checking in with us and popping in, ask your questions. This is what I love about LinkedIn Live. Okay, that was great. And I want to kind of touch on that a little bit more. You mentioned resistance. We see it a lot with organizations, just resistance to, and the leaders of the company. I want to talk about it because I've had this discussion a lot, and I have a former athlete with me right now. You're a former professional athlete, you get it, especially the terms high performance.
Oh, yeah.
So do you find, because I've certainly found, and DEI could be one of those topics, leading with empathy, definitely one of those topics. Anything with the words emotional intelligence, some old school corporate leaders, business leaders want to stay away from it because they think it will compromise high performance. They think it's too touchy-feely. They think, yeah, but I need my people. We don't want to coddle our people with this touchy-feely stuff.
Right.
Do you find that resistance, and what would you say to that?
Yeah, I find the resistance, and I say, do something else because you're no longer a leader. Here's the thing. I just had this conversation with a bunch of coaches the other day. I said, listen, we could sit here all day and decide whether athletes, they were talking about, high school collegiate athletes, are softer today than they were in my day. These guys were the Bobby Knight, a coach would throw stuff at you, kick, things, yell and scream. And I said, we could have the conversation all day long, but why don't we talk about what's reality? The reality is things have changed and they're different. Now you can spend some time in your basement talking about the good old days, or if you truly want to be a leader, you better get with the times. There is actually no scientific evidence that those things even matter truly. So some of the top fallacies, so to speak, are like this grind mentality, up in the morning, work all day, work all night, and you're going to get better results. No, you won't. You might get better results for a short period of time, but it's not going to build, it's not going to broaden, it's not going to sustain itself. So, and then there's this, I think another one is talent, versus effort. And again, in the sports world, we talk about this a lot. And to be very honest with you, I would rather have, and I've said this throughout my actual coaching career. Now I coach corporate, but real coaching with sports and stuff. I'd much rather have an athlete that would give me maximum effort than a talented, lazy athlete, or talented athlete that thought, oh, I'm so good, it doesn't matter. Because here's the thing, and all the leaders listening should know this about the people on their teams in the workplace. Effort can turn into talent. So if you've got someone that's giving you maximum effort, you help them along the way, they're going to end up being your most talented player. So I think the second fallacy is that talent wins everything. No, it doesn't. And then I think there's something around motivation, that motivation always has to be high in order for us to get whatever this goal is, for the team to succeed. And I don't believe that. I think that it needs to be real, and that people have real ups and downs. And what truly motivates people is on you to find out, as a leader, to find out what truly motivates them. And when you know what motivates them, then it opens up a whole different world. It's a whole different ball game for moving forward. So some of that old school mentality, work hard, grind, it doesn't get you better outcomes, maybe for a short period of time. Talent, I'd rather have these talented people, whatever. Give me somebody who's willing to learn and has maximum effort. And I'm going to be here to help motivate you even on those bad days. I think those are some of the fallacies we've got to get away from in order to move forward.
Yeah, brilliant. Well said. I want to bring it back to the topic at hand. Let's use the word belonging again. Now, we've talked about creating belonging and directed it at the leadership team of a company, right? Creating that culture. It starts at the top. What would you say to the individual, the employee who doesn't have a management position or a leadership role in a company that is lacking that feeling of belonging, lacking that, or they're not feeling included, they don't feel valued for whatever reason? What would your advice be to them?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because you're right, Mark. I put so much emphasis on what we should be doing as leaders, as captains, as the people, because we have a responsibility to that person. See, it's difficult for me to answer, because if that person exists on my team, that means I'm not doing something right. So the real work is still on me. What I would say to that person is, give me another shot. Give me another chance. I would say to that person, try to become more involved in the stuff that will give you connection with people, whether that's interacting more in a Slack channel or attending more, events, even if they are virtual, or starting something themselves, empowering themselves to say, you know what, this is how I'm feeling. If this is the culture, right? Because I'm existing in this right now, maybe someone else is feeling this way. So take a small step to create, even if it's a small space, for you and those people. What you'll probably find is you're not the only one. But that's me being real easy and letting those leaders off the hook there, because like I said, if that exists, there's some steps that have been missed in the beginning part, right? That there's no trust, hasn't been built. Leadership isn't modeling and sticking by what they actually say. They're not celebrating small wins in people. They're not sharing their own failures so that people know, oh, I can fail too. This is a safe space. So yeah, I'd like, and then lastly, I'd say go someplace else, because you're worthy of it. And if they don't see it, then tell them to kick rocks and let's roll someplace else. Right?
Good advice. Good advice. I mean, what I took from that is, be your own leader, right? It's important to have empowerment created for us, but at the end of the day, if it's to be, it's up to me. And it's, I think, identifying and checking in with how you're feeling, and then empowering yourself. Talk about having fear. you push through that fear to maybe bring it up with one of the leaders that has the power to change it, or bring the ideas, or start it yourself, as you said, to create that, or just turn up to one of Monica D. Livingston's workshops on elective, and you'll see how to create it yourself. So, Monica, look, it's 25 minutes in. I could go for another hour and 25.
It's crazy, man.
We will have to do a part 2. Now, listen, I would regret not taking this major tangent at the moment, because I'm here with a fellow former professional athlete. You played at the highest level. I'm always interested in athlete transition, because coming out of my career, it was challenging for me, and then it became a passion to help other athletes. And it just sort of pivoted. I still help athletes, but it pivoted into all the leadership work, then went into corporate as well. Because I love learning from other athletes. I love learning some of the success stories, which you obviously are, some of the cautionary tales. But what did you find most challenging in your transition from professional sport into the next phase?
Woo, it was hard because it was forced on me, Mark. I actually was playing and for those of you that don't know, the DC Divas, one of the winningest women's tackle football teams, shoulder pads, helmets, the real deal, not the lingerie league. Not to make anybody, well, don't laugh, Mark. I mean, I could have been in the lingerie league.
Of course you could. No, I'm just, I know how it's just...
Back then, everything was where it was supposed to be, but no, I wasn't. Right? We were in a fully clothed helmet and shoulder pads league, and I was forced into an early retirement. I had an injury on the field. My foot actually turned around upside down backwards. It was dangling. They compared it to Joe Theismann's injury. I had to have my foot set right there on the field. They said 1, 2, 3, and went to crack it around, and it didn't go back all the way the first time. So they did it a second time without counting. And so immediately I went from being this, all-star and a superstar and MVP of several game balls and all that, a leader on the team, to now what? And so I had thought about what the transition would look like later. I had witnessed some other players on the team that did not do well with transitioning, but I thought, oh, I'll figure that out when I get there. And here it was, smacked me literally in my ankle, right? And I was out and done. And so I think the hardest thing was dealing with the immediacy. So I would tell people, have a plan in place of what this is going to look like when it doesn't look like this anymore. And so I had to rebrand myself. I remember sitting in the doctor's office, and he was like, yeah, this isn't going to work out. Initially, I thought maybe I'll be back by playoffs. He's like, no, you're never, this is a wrap. I did 18 months of rehab. I have 5 pins and a plate in my ankle. I did make it back after 18 months on the field, scored 1 more touchdown, and retired right then and there. Not at the end of the game, at the end of the play, Mark. Like, I was done right then and there. And then I was like, okay, now what? I wanted 1 more play with my foot the right way. Now what do I do? Right. And I thought, I can walk away from this, but these are my people. This is my family. Or I can still be involved. And so I looked at what my skill set was, and I thought, how can I still utilize it here? So I started to do front office stuff, sponsorship acquisitions, leading some of the retreats as a speaker, facilitator, so that I could stay with my family, so to speak. And so I think it's really important to have that plan, to think about what it's going to look like. And that isn't necessarily just with sports, but people should be doing that in the corporate space, as well, looking for those opportunities for growth. I've got a saying that I try to live by, Mark. It's too big for a t-shirt, but I said once, when you're good, you should be striving to be great. When you're great, you should be striving to be exceptional. And so there's always this thing of leveling up. As soon as my feet hit the ground, what can I do just a little bit better today than I did yesterday? How can I improve myself, for me, my family, and for the people that I hope to have impact on? So plan. Don't get caught out there with your pants down. Can we say that on LinkedIn? With your pants? Okay, maybe not.
Yeah, pants. Come on. Yeah. I mean, we just did. So, hey, thank you for that, Monica. I feel your pain. I'm glad you said and you compared it to the corporate space as well, of having a plan, importance of having a plan. What I hear when you say that too, because I'm trying to get athletes to do it as well. And athletes have plenty of downtime, maybe not college athletes, but in general, even professional athletes. I heard identity in all of that, right? So you not just a plan of like, all right, I need to set myself up financially, but as you're an athlete, the dangers of that identity of being an athlete, figure out who you are as a person
Right.
outside of just your athletic identity. If you're an entrepreneur and you've started a bunch of companies, you've been the CEO for so many years of a certain company, the thought of retiring, or actually when you retire, it's the same kind of thing. It's that identity that you struggle with. It's like, if I'm no longer this thing, what am I going to do?
Right.
I think the plan also has to be like, figure out who you are outside this thing, not just where else can I make money? Which is
Oh my
obviously
God. Yeah, Mark, you're spot on. Like for so long, I was just an athlete. I was an athlete in grade school, high school, an athlete in college, athlete afterwards, even on the weekends, recreation before, I started playing professionally, athlete. That's who I was. And then there are these other, I had to peel when that was gone, there were these other layers. And I thought, oh, okay, this is here also. I can still be in this space. And so that self-inventory, I think people should spend a lot of time with, because sometimes the player that you are doesn't always translate to the person that you are. And and it can, but if you don't have a plan and you haven't done that self-inventory and thought about what motivates you outside of that, thought about your next steps, shoot, you're going to be left. And then you're going to be like, oh, I'm not playing anymore. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with that you didn't take time to learn who you are. Introduce yourself to yourself, people. Okay.
Ooh, now that we can put on a t-shirt. So Monica, and by the way, I threw up a little comment here from another former teammate of mine, Mark Lewis. He's checking in from Wales, all the way over from the UK.
Hey, Mark.
But same deal with Mark. Retired with a career-ending injury. Young, very young, knee injury. But he's one of those success stories as well, because he was always, even during his career, he had other things going on. Golf, family man. I know he has his struggles. He's had his struggles, as we all do. But Mark, just a shout out to you that you are a shining example of how to handle that transition. So thank you, everyone, for joining in and giving your comments. Now, Monica, I knew we'd go long. I just knew we'd go long, but we're going to keep going.
Let's do it.
So what about, well, let me ask you, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd wish I'd asked you? Or that you'd like to talk about?
No, I don't think, I don't think so. I think I always try to, push that. I think everybody should just treat everybody nice. It sounds, again, so elementary, but I think it's important that we, really pause and think about our impact on other people. And I talk about this in one of the classes, not just our intent. I really believe that most people are well-intended. Most people are like, get up in the morning and they don't go, oh, I'm going to go be a jerk to somebody. Oh, I can't wait to be racist or homophobic. I don't think that really happens, right? I think most people are well-intended, but I don't think that we push ourselves to intentionally think about, okay, how is this going? How I'm moving around today in the earth will impact someone else. And I'm guilty of it. I blew the horn the other day. I was rushing somewhere. I was late somewhere. That's my fault that I was late, that I didn't give myself enough time. Trying to make up some time on the road. Any police officers listening, this is just a story. This is just a story for dramatic purposes. Anyway, so I'm driving, trying to make up some time. And this person in front of me won't get out of the way. And I'm getting increasingly like upset and bothered by them. I get around them and I do this thing. I want to look. I don't know why we do that. You just want to see the person, what they actually look like that's driving this slow, right? And I look over and it's a lady, and I'll say she was older than me, which means she's really old. And she was having some difficulties. And immediately I thought, oh, Monica, you're a jerk. Here's the thing. I didn't really mean for her to feel bad. I didn't. I wanted her to move out of the way. I used my horn. Like I wanted her to be gone. I didn't want her to have a bad day, to be nervous. But if I'd have paused and thought, if I blow this horn, what could a potential reaction be for her inside? She could be scared. It could make her wreck her car. It could, throw her off, make her miss her exit, ruin her day. For what reason? Because I didn't leave the house in enough time to get where I wanted to go. So I say that as a small example that we really just need to pause sometimes and think about, I'm getting ready to send this email. This is what I mean. But the person on the other side, when they get it, what's the impact going to be for them? I'm getting ready to tell this joke. I think it's funny as hell, but what could the impact actually be? So intent versus impact. Forget about what you mean. Think about what the impact is going to be. How you treat people matters.
It matters so much. And the ripple effect, we can't see the ripple effect. I think that's a lot of people's problem, right? You be kind to someone, then they go and use that same kindness and energy and motivation they just got from you, or the gift you've given them, to give that to someone else, and so on and so on and so on. Because in that moment, like you said, you were considerate about other people other than yourself. We have a tendency to make ourselves the center of the universe, don't we?
Yep.
A lot of the times. So that's what I would add to that, to what you said brilliantly. And every now and then just check in and how can I focus outward? We're always focusing inward, and we need to become better people and survive, right?
Yeah.
But when you do that too much, and let me tell you, it impacts your happiness. So if you're happy,
that part, Mark. Like literally, I was reading a study that people that do this stuff, it's not just because, oh, you should do it because, Mark and I are telling you. You get benefits from it too. I read something that you live longer. I'm out here trying to be nice to everybody because I want to be around. Right? It's like
we want you around.
Right. Thank you. I'm trying to be here. So there's benefit that comes to the self as well, from doing what, again, just makes good common sense, just being a good freaking human being. Like, again, back to kindergarten, people, be nice to each other, share your toys.
Great way to finish and wrap up. But I'm gonna wrap up with one last thing.
Yeah.
How can we find you and support you?
Oh, I'm super easy to find. Just Google me, baby. Right. But no, my website is my name, www.monicadlivingston.com. I'm on Instagram, Livingston3636. I think I'm on Facebook, Monica D. Livingston. But if you go to my website, monicadlivingston.com, all the links and stuff are there. Listen to the podcast, The Huddle with myself and one of my ex-teammates, Lois Cook. So it's the Mo and Lo in the Huddle. Call me. I'll give my number out. Maybe not. Okay. But yeah.
I'll put it in the comments.
Yeah.
No, I won't do that. Well, great. Yes, because people need to find you and support you. And the more we support you, the more you can put these gifts of yours out into the world and make it a better place. And it started with here today. I'm so grateful for you. I appreciate you, Monica. Thank you for stopping by. This is part one of many, many parts. So I'm going to
absolutely thank you, Mark, for having me and what you do. You created this space for me to be able to chit chat. And like you said, somebody may pick up a nugget that we shared here today, and it builds and it broadens, and we just got to trust that we keep doing it because we know it will grow. So thank you. And you got to come on the podcast now. We just keep doing this back and forth, right? Yeah.
Do you need a third host? Be careful what you wish for.
Let's get Mark on. Shoot, that'll be fun.
Absolutely. No, this guy is. Yeah. I mean, look, I've got a Rolodex of former athletes that we can chew their ear off all day, and they'll do the same. So. You got yourself a deal. Go have yourself a great rest of the day, Monica, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, my brother. Take care.
Bye for now. Wow. Did you enjoy that as much as I did? Probably not. But I'd be surprised if you didn't enjoy Monica and just everything that she is, everything that she brings. And I mean it. Go find her. Go follow her. If you don't do it already, you will not be disappointed. Well, I'm going to keep it under 40 minutes. Thanks for popping in and stopping by at various stages. Expect more of these from me and more impactful, meaningful leadership discussions coming up. Have a wonderful rest of your day, folks.